Good day, it's Thursday, it's 2021, it's SportsDaz Football moving to a new day for the next 12 months. I'm Darren Kelly and this will be your weekly chance to find out all things happening in ladies Gaelic football in Ireland. I'm on my own presenting the show for the next few weeks, but don't worry, Niamh Kendon will be back before the start of the National Leagues or the All-Ireland Club Finals, should they take place. And Rena Buckley will also be back with a new show later in the year. We'll give you full details of that in the spring. But over the next few weeks, I'll be chatting to those making the news in football throughout the country. Today, we're delighted to have two very, very special guests. Anthony Brennan is the new Sligo ladies football manager, and he joins us here on SportsDaz. And we also hear from Siobhan Coyle, the new Donegal LGFA chairperson. Siobhan, already an established administrator and referee. She did referee the All-Ireland Junior Football Final last year between Fermanagh and Wicklow, and she talks about her plans for the year ahead. They're coming up later on, but first let's look at some of the news that has dominated the football scene since we were last talking to you a couple of days before Christmas. Well, speaking of the National League, the LGFA have had to delay the start of it. Initially, it was set for the third weekend in February, but of course, that was back when we thought that inter-county teams will be returning to training on the 15th, which would have been tomorrow. That's not happening for at least another 2 weeks, the end of the month, and the LGFA have acted by postponing the National League start until the weekend of the 27th and 28th of February. Of course, it brings up the big question of what's going to happen with the provincial and All-Ireland Club Championships. They were meant to be taking place now. Indeed, we thought this show would be about provincial club action and building up towards an All-Ireland series. We'll have to wait to see what happens, but as things stand, we're sitting and waiting and hoping that COVID-19 allows us to get back to football activity in the beginning of February. Well, talking about LGFA, and of course we gave a lot of time to what happened before the All-Ireland semi-final last year between Cork and Galway. Orla Muldoon wrote an article that has definitely caught an awful lot of attention, saying the GA supports and justifies sexism. Well, look, there's an awful lot more to it than meets the eye on that. Certainly how an All-Ireland Ladies Football semi-final was postponed for a Limerick hurling training session and other factors along with that have to be asked. But it has created a debate about should the three organisations merge, the LGFA, Camogie Association and the GEA. Well, Sean Lennon, the new chairperson of Clare LGFA, has said he would welcome an amalgamation, and the Kerry Ladies Footballers have unanimously said that they want to see a merger between the LGFA and the GAA. There's plenty of opinions on this topic, and I have no doubt it will come up many, many times over the course of the year, and we will chat about it during the year, about the good, the bad, the indifferent of that happening and what can help to allow more equality for the women's game. We've already seen the WGPA and the GAA merge, and that has been a very welcome move. Speaking of the WGPA, well, they've had their football nominations for the month of December out. You can vote for those at the moment on their Instagram pages. I think check Twitter too. Sinead Goldrick from Dublin, Ashley Maguire from Fermanagh and Emma Duggan from Meath are the three players that have been nominated, and one of them will be named the WGPA Footballer of the Month for December at the end of the week. There's also Camogie nominations there. We've already dealt with them on SportsDaz Camogie. Let's talk other activities going on. Well, Saoirse Noonan is hosting a skills and Q&A session on the Activity Hub, which I believe is a connection with Cork LGFA, so check their Twitter page or social media to find out more details. It takes place this Saturday. Saoirse Noonan, of course, an accomplished international footballer, made headlines this year in the All-Ireland Football Championship, especially against Kerry, and is definitely a star of the future for Cork football, so check that out if interested. Brian Cotter is the new West Cork LGFA chairperson, saying he wants to bring something to West Cork, so great work being done down there at the moment in West Cork promoting the game. Of course, they have a county title this year for the first time as well. So it'll be interesting to see what develops there. As mentioned, Anthony Brennan is the new Sligo ladies football manager, taking over from Michael Bowen, who was 1 year in charge. It was a disappointing 2020 for Sligo, A lot of changes to their panel, COVID-19 having an effect on that as well. Anthony Brennan is the father of current Sligo captain Nicola. He's enjoyed great success managing his own club, Turlestrand, the 2 Sligo Senior Football Championships, led Father Manning Gales to a Longford senior title as well, and has managed Sligo at under 16, under 18, under 21 level 2, so brings plenty of experience. We'll be hearing from him later. In Mayo, Peter Leahy is no longer the manager. After 3 years in charge, he has stepped down as the Mayo senior football manager to join up with Bernard Flynn in the Meath under-20 footballers. Now, for the life of me, I don't understand how moving to be a selector or coach with an under-20 football team is considered an improvement on being a senior manager. Peter has definitely had a noteworthy time in charge, but he's done good on the field to play with Mayo. They did make an All-Ireland semi-final in 2019, losing to Galway by a single point. They lost out in the group stages this year to Armagh, but I certainly thought Peter would have kept going. That's going to raise the debate now about Carnacon and Falmouth and will they come back and all that. But Peter Lee has definitely had a good 3 years in charge. Again, though, I have to say, very, very surprised that would be a move he would make. Great for the Meath under 20 footballers and for Bernard Flynn and Graham Geraghty involved with them, but a surprising move nonetheless. Lots of change going on in Mayo. New county board is in place. They had problems off the field last year as well. Yvonne McAvilly did great work keeping the show on the road during the year, but due to the assistance of current LGFA and the LGFA, well, Des Phillips, who's been well known for his work in promoting football in Mayo and managing underage teams to All-Ireland success, he is the new chairperson of the Mayo LGFA. We wish him the very, very best of luck. In Galway, Tim Rabbitt has stepped down as the Galway manager. Again, another very, very surprising move, we must say, because no doubt Tim will be disappointed with all what happened leading up to the All-Ireland semi-final against Cork this year. 2 years in charge, he'd been a coach the previous year under Stephen Glennon, and you just would have felt that Galway, looking at their side of things, would have used that to really motivate themselves and have a go at trying to break through the Dublin-Cork axis. So unfortunately for Galway, it's not happening again. Tim has had a good 2 years there as well, made 2 national finals in 2019, but no different to Peter Lee. Now you have to say it's very, very surprising decision. And of course, we don't know people's personal factors as well. We're here commenting on football matters, but maybe for personal reasons it's not possible as well. But again, another surprise there, both Mayo and Galway losing managers for 2021. Siobhan Coyle is the new Dublin LGFA chairperson, first female chairperson in Donegal for 11 years. So she served as secretary for 5 years, vice chairperson for 1, an accomplished referee going into her 10th year. You know, a real driving force working for Donegal football. There is no doubt she will bring that into her new role as chairperson. We're going to be talking to her later on, find out her plans for the year, what she hopes can happen for Donegal. Speaking of Donegal, one person not going anywhere is Maxie Kern. Maxie Kern and his management team claim they have unfinished business with Donegal. Well, like, Donegal are a team to have, I suppose, in one way flattered to deceive, but when you look back at 2020, and you do have to ask the question, what would have happened if Sinead Ahern's freak shot for a point hadn't bounced down and gone in the goal? We're not saying Donegal would have won that game, but they did lose it by 3 points, and that was the difference between the teams. So you would have felt they would have had an opportunity, and Dublin did go on to win the All-Ireland. So great news for Donegal there. Maxie Kern staying on. It'll be interesting to watch. Certainly potential dark horses are Donegal for the campaign ahead. And finally, the Down LGFA All-Stars, they're voting at the moment. If you're interested in that, go to Twitter, Irish News Sport, and you get your chance to vote for your Down LGFA All-Stars for 2020. Of course, so much more has happened, but we'd be a long time getting through it here after a 3-week gap. But we'll try and update you on everything happening in football over the next few weeks before, hopefully, a not too long wait for return to action. But with that being said, it's time to get on to meet our guests this week, and I've already mentioned a new manager in Sligo. His name is Anthony Brennan, and I got a chance to catch up with him, and we'll hear from him after the break.
I like listening to SportsDaz because I like to listen to ladies football and ladies camogie.
Now I'm delighted to be joined by the new Sligo ladies football manager, Anthony Brennan. And first, Anthony, thanks a million for joining us here in SportsDaz Football, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thanks very much.
Anthony, people outside of Sligo, or maybe Longford as well, mightn't know much about you, I suppose, in one way, but you have a proven track record in the game over the last 25 or so years, especially in those two counties and your own native Sligo.
Well, I've been around a long time. I've been involved in management at a serious level since 1995, and then I was involved even more than that, doing a bit with club teams, but I've been involved with Sligo underage teams from 1995 on, and then obviously had a couple of years in Longford, and then I was with my own club, Tullastrane, and then Curry and Sligo as well, and we would have won championships, and then I would have been involved with a few clubs in Mayo and Sligo as well.
And as you mentioned there as well, you have the inter-county experience with various Sligo teams, including bringing the under-21s to a Connacht final a few years back. I suppose, Anthony, how you're moving into the ladies sector here now, taking on the senior role. I know you have connections there with Nicola, and Sarah was involved before, but I suppose, how did it come about, you taking over the Sligo senior job?
Well, I suppose I've been going to the Sligo ladies matches for the last number of years, and I suppose that's the involvement, and both Nicola and Sarah have been involved for the last number of years in particularly Nicola. So I suppose that after seeing what happened last year, and there was a vacancy in the management, they certainly didn't perform that well last year. I know it was an unusual year with COVID and everything, but certainly the team didn't perform that well. So I just thought, well, look, this would be something that I would like to get interested in. I had done a bit with the under 16 team in the club, and I had done work with the senior team in the club for a while. So I thought, well, management is management, and it might be something I'd like. So I'll have a better idea in 6 months' time.
Yeah, because I was going to say as well, I was reading one interview you did, and you were hoping to get back with the players in January the 15th. Obviously, that's not happening for at least another couple of weeks. And for a new manager, and we had Susan Erner, the Offaly Camogie manager, on our Camogie show yesterday, I suppose it's frustrating in one way too, because you'd be just anxious to get up and running.
Well, yeah, but like in a case like that, what you do is you organise additional work and a bit of an organised programme of training for the next couple of weeks for those players, and you expect them to come in at a certain level in hopefully at the beginning of February, that we get on the field. So that's all you can do. You can only do student sessions and stuff like that, and then players individually doing their own runs and keeping themselves in cheer. If they don't do that, well then they could have a problem when they come in.
How have you found the response from the panel so far since your appointment? I know you're only there less than 2 weeks.
Very good. I'm very, very pleased. We have a panel of about 35 at the moment, with the possibility of maybe adding another 5 to that. It's not fully closed yet, but and then obviously on the other hand, I'd like to know within the next couple of weeks who's available, because I don't want it dragging on until the end of the season and players coming back in then at that stage. So we can work with the panel we have from the beginning and go from there. But I would be very, very happy with the numbers that are involved.
Because I was just going to ask you about that. You touched already on last year, and of course it just didn't happen for Sligo last year for various different reasons. 8 games between league and championship, all losses, some heavy defeats as well. We're even looking at the change in personnel from 2019 to 2020, and it's no doubt that'll be something you want to sort out as quick as possible.
Yeah, well, I suppose Michael came in last year. I don't know Michael, but he was dealt an unusual hand, but he ended up in a situation where his panel was very limited. Now, whether that's an excuse for some of the performances or not is another question, but certainly he was short of players, and he was unfamiliar with the players as well, so it was a difficult year for him. But again, it was a difficult year for everyone involved in football last year, as this year could be as well. But it was disappointing the way they played last year, and you'd hope
Well, even as you're saying that would be the target, because again, for our non-Sligo listeners, Sligo have been a very, very competitive championship contenders, it's fair to say, in recent years, been in a few semi-finals, a few quarter-finals. If anything, last year's results on the field of play were more a blip than anything else, or at least that's what you'd be hoping for.
Yeah, well, if you go back a couple of years ago, they played Tyrone in another semi-final, and it was an excellent game, and they played very well, and they had a young team and a good mix of youth and experience, but they played very well, and it was a game they could have won, and they were unlucky, and they have been competitive for the last number of years, and we hope to get to that stage again, but you just never know, but that's what you'd hope to get to.
Of course, hopefully all going well, the league will be up and running at the end of February. A couple of questions, Anthony, before I let you go. Of course, it's a new format for the league. It'll be regionalised. Do you consider it a good format first and foremost? And also the fact that there's no split season. I think you touched in another interview that the gap between league and championship could be beneficial for your charges.
Yeah, well, I think actually the way the season is laid out will give club players a good opportunity too. And I think this COVID has proven both at men's and women's level that because of the restrictions and because of how tight the schedule is, that you have to organise your schedule very well. And I think it might work out very well for the county and for the club. And in terms of the county, there'll be about a 10-week period for league, and then a break until the beginning of June again, until you go back training again, with the season finishing up at the beginning of September. So that gives an opportunity for it's the same opportunity for every county out there and every club out there. If county boards can organise their fixtures well at club level, I see where there should be no problem, where everyone should be facilitated quite well and quite easily, and that should be helpful.
And we certainly hope, if we're talking this time in 8 or 9 months' time, that we're talking positive fashion about that. Final question, Anthony, before I let you go, probably tongue-in-cheek in one way, because I think you've half answered it already. Is there an overall target for Sligo this year, trip to Croke Park, or are you just happy to get themselves back up there competing?
Well, obviously the targets will have to be, the targets will have to be for different competitions, and first of all in the league, that we're competitive, hopefully that we can go as far in the league as possible, and be competitive, and hopefully days of taking bad results and bad hammerings are gone, but that's what you'd hope. But it's a very competitive league, Division 3. There's a lot of good teams in it, I suppose. Meath, a lot of people would be glad to see Meath going out because we're a very strong team, but there's a lot of good teams in it, so nothing would be easy, but I would hope we would be competitive in all our games.
I like listening to SportsDaz because he has famous celebrities and I get to listen to him. Darren Kelly.
Now I'm delighted to be joined by the new Donegal LGFA chairperson, Siobhan Coyle, as we look at what's going on in Donegal of 2021 and look back in some of the activities of 2020. But first, Siobhan, thanks a million for joining us here in SportsDaz Football, and congratulations on your appointment.
Thanks very much for having me, Darren, and delighted to be appointed the chairperson of the Donegal Ladies for the coming year.
Siobhan, you're going to be one person who'll be kept very busy, something you're used to, and we'll talk about refereeing and all that in a few moments too. But I suppose you've served as secretary of Donegal, you've been vice chairperson, you've been registered with the club and all that. When the opportunity to become chairperson came about, was it something you'd always aim to get for, or was it kind of just something that came up at that particular time?
For me, as you say, I've been involved in the administration role for many years now, but I had never anticipated, never visioned being chairperson. I always like to take the role at sitting in the background. I don't mind doing the paperwork and that, but to take on the leader role is a big opportunity, but I didn't expect it. And I had never thought about it until then when Seamus told us, the executive, that he was stepping down. He had originally agreed to take on a 3-year role, and his 3 years was up, and just for work reason that he's decided to step aside. And 2 members of the current executive asked me, would I consider it, and told me that they believed I would be able to do the job. I thought about it for a while, and when the nominations came out, a number of few other clubs asked me, and I told them I would think about it, and then I agreed to let my name go forward for it. And now I'm happy, and I will give it 100% for the year coming.
And it's going to be a big year too. As you mentioned there, like being in the background doing the admin, of course, you're out at the front now in a very difficult time across the whole world, let alone not just Ireland or in Donegal too, because normally at this time of the year we'll be asking questions about fixtures, about training, about managers and all that, but these are a bunch of questions at the moment you can't give me an answer to.
I actually can't give you an answer to any of these questions, apart from now, as you say, we've a few managers put in place. Maxie has taken over the role as the county manager, and he was actually looking forward and expecting to start training now on the 15th, because the senior county teams were allowed to start training, and already now that has been put back to at least the 1st of February. So we cannot, as it stands, put any plans in place because we don't know what the future is going to hold for anybody.
But even as you say that too, you can't put anything concrete. No doubt since your appointment just before New Year's Eve, you've been, I suppose, how do I put it, been busy getting organised, making provisions for what hopefully won't be too long before you can start moving on something.
Yeah, for me, I've been involved in the executive, so I've kind of been there, and we've already, before our year ended, we had put some plans in place and had got managers appointed in that. And now, even this week alone, I have 3 meetings coming up involved for the football and getting things put in place. We have to plan, and we have to put some kind of focus and get other things that we can put in place before the football starts. There's always roles with finance and all of that to be sorted anyway in the background. So we're doing that and trying to put plans in place for the year.
Even though everything's dependent, Siobhan, on how things pan out with COVID-19 and when we can play, no doubt you have targets for your own term, not just this year, but as many years as you're there in the role. You've mentioned in one interview as well, you want to make sure that you give a voice for all the clubs in Donegal, not just the senior ones. Yeah,
and that, like for me, as a chairperson, I am there. Yes, we have the county teams and everyone knows county teams and there's plenty of publicity. But I am also representing all the 36 clubs that are currently affiliated with us. And every club has to get the same opportunity and chance. Now, not everybody's always going to get what they're looking for. We can't please everyone. We'll have to stick to the rules and that. But it's to ensure that all players, and I'm talking from under 12s up as far as senior, get to play football and get to some amount of football. Because they're also... it's the younger generation that are going to have to be there for when the seniors eventually would, if people retire, and that we need to look after our underage as well. They're the future of the clubs.
And it's never been more important in the world we're living in at the moment, because when the green light is eventually given, whether it's weeks or months down the line, as you just mentioned there, that's the most important thing. We get players back playing and get them back representing their clubs and hopefully down the line representing Donegal.
Oh, it's such an important thing, especially like a big thing at the minute is for mental health and that. And I even see it as a primary school teacher, like for kids at the minute, it's really, they're missing their friends. It's a big thing. They're not getting to meet with people. For socially, it's such an important thing. They're sitting in their homes, like I'm sitting doing lessons online and that and putting things up. They're not having that interaction with the friends that they used to have. And for many children, sport is so important for them in that role. And we need to, when we can, up and running to get that back and get as many young people playing, and hopefully then that will help with their social skills as they move on.
If you don't mind me asking there, Siobhan, because I know you're a primary school teacher as well, and obviously the March lockdown last year when the children were pretty much at home for 6 months, including the summer period. This time, how have you found it getting them organised for this particular month with the weather not being as great and then being out of school again for much longer than expected?
Well, like we've learned a lot when it comes to remote learning. I can say that now, like as in our school, we definitely have learned a lot, and we've put a lot of changes in place, and we have different activities, particularly now starting. So back in March, we were in school one day, and the next day the kids were told to go home for 2 weeks, and we didn't know what we were really doing. It was a change for everyone, teachers including. We're all learning it as we go along. But we've definitely learned, even when we are sending work home and stuff, we're also giving them activities, as in physical activities, and encouraging them to get outside or to go for a walk and that, as well as the work online. But a lot of people have been very good, and a lot of companies have been very good opening up their books and things online and to make work easier for the children. And it's great now, like we're using our Google Classroom and we can interact and we can help the children and give them the lessons online.
I think it was important to ask that question as well, Siobhan, because I think it's completely underrated the amount of work the teachers have been putting in during this. Like I have an 8-year-old here at home too, and she was going measuring things there and having fun getting her homework done and showing enthusiasm as well, which, as you mentioned, with mental health, when they're restricted what they're doing at the moment, that's very, very important.
Yeah, it's really important, like for all children, and it's even for all adults included, like it's really important. But when they're, and like for children as well, like a lot of parents are working in that, and it's really hard, and some parents are struggling with it, and we're trying to make it as easy for the parents as well as possible. It's a lot of work as well for us. You're sitting on a laptop. Me personally, I don't like sitting at a laptop all day. I would far rather be in the classroom with the kids. So I like do my work, go for a walk, come back, do some more, and that. Even getting out now, I'm lucky now down at home. I can go for a walk on the beach. It's literally just down the road for me. I can see it from my own home. So I getting out twice a day for a walk every day, and it's great. It helps me, and I'm sure it helps everyone else. Everyone has their own little things, but that's my way of releasing it and getting a bit of energy.
Yeah, even the same myself there. I live in a rural area too, and even before we did this interview, I was out for my own walk too, just to get away from the computer for a few minutes. I better go back to the football quickly because I see time is getting away from us. Going back quickly on Maxi Kern and Donegal. Like Jeannie, Siobhan, if you could buy any luck last year for Donegal, it could have been an amazing year. Like one of the most freak goals, ultimately costing Donegal a place in an All-Ireland semi-final, and I've no doubt, as you touched on there already, Maxi and the crew are raring to get going again because they feel they have a golden opportunity to achieve something.
Yeah, like Maxi, he was with the girls, as you said, for 3 years, and he brought them to another level, and can't wait to get back training with the girls. Like he's been on to me a number of times but as we say, we can't get things going at the minute. But like as you say there, on Halloween night, that freak goal against the Dubs, that bounce, it could have went anyway. It could have come back out. If they had to win that game, where could they have been? They could have got to All Ireland. Like they had a great game then against Waterford. Unfortunately, the draw was against us. That last year, things didn't go the way, as you say, the freak goal. Just everything didn't go their way. And the girls, I feel themselves, they know now they are close. They've been close a number of years now. They know they can do it, and that's why they've all committed to giving it another year. And I think Maxi was the same feeling. When he thought about it and he got the commitment from the girls, he believes that they can go another step or two ahead and put the work in. So they've committed to giving it another year and hopefully maybe go another step. Yeah,
because as an outsider looking in, you just feel Donegal, I just have to shatter a glass ceiling and anything is possible, and they'll certainly be in the conversation later in the year. Siobhan, just before we wrap up, I have to ask you about refereeing. You've had a busy few months. Most recently, of course, the All-Ireland Junior Football Final, and of course, you've already stated that you're going to be continuing refereeing over your term as chairperson.
Yeah, it's I want to, and I wouldn't like to give it up, and it's something I did think about. When I was county chair or county secretary, I was refereeing now up until provincial level. I know I'm a step ahead this year, or a step ahead now in the national level, but I have stepped down as a player. I retired because I couldn't do it all, but I believe I can still do both. I have time to do my training. I'm going to be training anyway, just for myself, my own fitness and that. So, and then most of the games will be weekends and that. But I refed many games last year, and even with 2020 and not many games been that, like from the summer months on, like I was really busy, and I hope to continue it on, particularly to the national level. I would like to keep going at that as long as I can.
Yeah, and of course, you mentioned you're not long finished up playing as well, and you have a couple of junior county titles with the club. Before I let you go, you're celebrating your 10th anniversary of refereeing this year, if I'm correct. And could you have ever imagined when you started picking up the whistle in 2011 where the journey would take you?
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, 10 years on it. To be honest, when I started off first, to think that I would even do it for 10 years was I wouldn't have imagined it. I started off very basic, just doing your usual junior, your under 8s, 10s, 12 games, was only doing small things, and it just kind of creeped in and got higher and higher and started doing some senior games and that. to even consider being on the national panel at the time I didn't think it was even to be a chance for me when I started off. Everybody, players, officials, everyone would love to be in Croke Park. And in 2017, I got to be in Croke Park for the line, and I thought that was the pinnacle, and I wouldn't get any higher than that. To ref in All-Ireland, I've done an All-Ireland junior club and an All-Ireland junior final. And it doesn't matter where it is. So, like, it was in Parnell Park, to be honest. To me, the venue wasn't an issue this year. Like, I would love to ref in Croke Park, but to ref in All-Ireland at any level is an unbelievable achievement for myself. And, like, then I've had so many opportunities. I've gone to New York to referee. I've gone to Kuala Lumpur last year at the Asian Games to referee. Like, it's just been an amazing experience, and never thought when I took up that whistle that it would give me these opportunities.
And that was the new Donegal LGFA chairperson Siobhan Coyle, and beforehand we heard from the new Sligo football manager Anthony Brennan. We hope you enjoyed our first show of 2021. We'll aim to keep you in the loop of what's happening over the next few weeks as we anxiously wait to get back to action. And as mentioned at the top of the show, Niamh Kendallin and Rena Buckley will be back with the SportsDaz team in the next couple of months, and we can't wait for that. With that being said, stay safe at home, respect social distancing, mind your health. We all work together as a team. We'll get back on the field of play very, very quickly. This was SportsDaz Football. I'm Darren Kelly, and we look forward to talking to you again next Thursday.